Hey, what's up guys, John here. Small businesses are accumulating more debt today than they ever have.
New data shows Americans are digging themselves deeper into credit card debt, which is now hitting an all-time high.
Balance is climbing to a record high of over $1 trillion.
However, a very big curveball is coming to the U.S. economy that I believe is going to be very beneficial for small businesses. And I think we're going to see debt actually go down for many companies in the short term. We're going to see so much change because of a few moving variables that are set to hit over the next 90 days that every American needs to pay very, very close attention to. It's going to be reminiscent of what we saw in 2020, except this time it's going to be even more dramatic.
COVID-19 takes a toll on the economy. Millions of Americans are poised to receive help from the U.S. government.
$1,400 direct payments to millions of Americans, aid to small businesses, including more than $28 billion for restaurant owners.
So if you have credit card debt, if you are a small business owner, you're just an American, pay very close attention to the facts. I'm going to break this down for you so you can see clearly where we're going. I believe they're going to kick the can down the road probably throughout the rest of this year until, maybe next year, early next year. So we're going to see a really big change in the U.S. economy in the short term and very likely a massive crisis unfolding early next year. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. YouTube will share this content to educate other people about what's really going on in the U.S. economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for what I believe is going to be the greatest wealth transfer in American history, we would love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free call for tomorrow, for Monday. Take a look at this. So small businesses are racking up credit card debt, raising some concerns, right? Small businesses are increasingly turning to credit card debt as a key source of funding as they continue to grapple with still high inflation and rising borrowing costs. Now, here's what's very interesting. April 30th, right? Average credit card debt on the rise. Everyone knows that. But what we're witnessing right now is financial doublespeak, where one news outlet will say that everything is great, and another news outlet will say, no, everything is horrible. We're seeing record high defaults. People don't know what to believe. And so they're very, very easily swayed as to what's really going on. For example, war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength, right? Things are great, right? This is kind of the world that we now live in. But here's the curveball and why everything is about to flip on its head. So credit card delinquency rates hit the worst since 2012. Now, you look at, NerdWallet, they're showing default rates in many states north of 20%. There's only a few that are, 15%, maybe two, 15% in that range, 13%, 15%, 14%. All the rest are north of 20%. One's almost, Mississippi, almost 40%, right? Well, here's what's happening. And I mentioned this yesterday about this $980 billion stimulus package that's going to go to homeowners. They say it's going to go upwards of $2 trillion as by the autumn. Now, the last stimulus package that hit, the main one in 2020, $814 billion. So they're saying on the low end, it's going to be about 15% more than that initial stimulus package. On the high end, about 230% greater. 230% greater stimulus than what we've witnessed in 2020. And that's going to be coming to homeowners. And what do a lot of homeowners have right now? They have a lot of credit card debt, right? They have a lot of expenses. They're suffering from rising inflation, high property tax, high insurance. They're sitting on high balances. And so if they can access liquidity right now, 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, what are they going to do with it? They're going to stimulate the economy, they're going to spend it, and they're going to pay down debt. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try to fund their business. They're going to try to do whatever they have to do to try to keep their head above water. Now, what I believe to happen is I believe we're going to see defaults go down in the short term if this stimulus does go through. And it does look like it is going to go through. They said that, a House proposal would unlock nearly $1 trillion for homeowners. The idea that Freddie Mac would start purchasing secondary mortgages offering a cost-effective way for borrowers to tap into equity. Homeowners face a few options to do this. And there aren't many willing buyers. So you look at what this would actually mean and how this all plays out. So, it's shocking. They say all these American homeowners are sitting on so much equity. Everyone has so much cash in their homes they just can't access. Is that actually true? I would argue that it's not true at all, And I would argue that what's about to happen in the short term might be great for small businesses, might be great for Americans that have a lot of credit card debt. But as this plays out, it's going to probably be a nightmare for most people. And this is why. They're saying that the average mortgage rate right now is $2,750 a month. That's the average. How crazy is that? Not including, rising insurance, taxes, upkeep. You're over $3,000 a month for the average American homeowner. And so if they tap into a home equity line of credit, if they tap into some type of line of credit, what's going to happen is as interest rates likely rise, and I believe they are going to rise. I mean, for example, Jerome Powell said 4 days ago that it's unlikely the next move will be a rate hike, right? It's unlikely. But in March, he was saying that no way, rate hikes are not happening. It's not going to happen. But he also says then, I think we need to see more persuasive evidence that our policy stance is not sufficiently restricting to bring down inflation to 2%. How are they going to bring inflation down to 2% if they're going to put over $1 trillion into the hands of American homeowners? How is that going to drive down inflation? They're going to have more money to spend, right? There's a smaller amount of goods and services, more capital chasing it, prices are going to be going up, especially when you look at oil. The policies around oil, energy costs are going to be going up. Everything's going to be going up, all of which allude me to believe that we're going to start to see a higher for longer environment, and more likely an environment where they're going to hike interest rates. And what the net effect of this will be on everyone's income is pretty shocking. So for example, Forbes 6 days ago reported that the average credit card interest rate, 27.9%. Like, that's hard to wrap your head around, right? In 2020, 14.5%, we'll call it 15%. And so what this looks like for somebody with $10,000 in credit card debt at a 15%. So we'll average up, right? 15%, even though it's somewhere in the mid 14s. We'll say 15%. That borrower would pay $3,949, $3,949 in interest. It'll take 4 years and 8 months to pay it back, right? Well, according to Forbes, $2,790, with that same exact payment, $2,790, they would pay back and go from $3,900 in 4 years and 8 months to 9 years and 8 months and $18,000, almost $19,000 in interest, just by Jerome Powell increasing interest rates. And so what they are doing right now is they are positioning the Fed and giving them no option but to hike rates. That's what they're doing. They're giving them no option but to keep rates higher for longer. Why else? Why else are they putting $1 trillion on upwards of $2 trillion as early as this summer? So basically, 2-3 months from now. A proposed move could begin to unleash almost $1 trillion to consumers' wallets. By autumn, it could be on its way to $2 trillion. That's if Freddie Mac secures an approval. I think we all know they're going to get an approval from a regulator to operate in the market for secondary mortgages, also commonly known as home equity loans. If greenlighted scheme, well, good choice of words, would be equivalent to a huge stimulus injection, but without a cent added to the national deficit, the Oracle Wall Street explained. So, what would this do? What are we actually walking into? I think what we're walking into is a scenario where they're going to be able to kick the can down the road for 6 months, a year, and they're going to really kind of drag this out and get ready for this massive, massive, massive crash. And what's also happening, it's very interesting, is because every day we're getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 huge stories that the next day people can't remember any of the stories from the day before. And so as these banks start to topple over, you have 1,804 banks that took out BTFP, Bank Term Funding Program funds, $161 billion, that they have to pay back by March 11th, 2025. And so when you look at this, these banks are going to start folding and consolidating, and people are going to forget about it. It's just going to kind of, people are going to be focused on a booming economy. They're going to feel like everything is great. Everything is kind of, stable. Everything is okay. And then the big one's going to come. What do you think about this? What do you think about this entire scenario? Putting $1 trillion on the low end in the hands of homeowners, upwards of $2 trillion in a high interest rate environment, and in a state in which, what are people going to do with it? They're going to spend it. They're going to pay down debt. They're going to try to survive. I think we live in a clown world. Up is down and down is up in our economy right now. Nothing makes any sense. They reported that the unemployment rate rose, and then that same day stocks boomed. How does that make any logical sense? If unemployment is going up and data is indicating, the economy is going in a bad direction, why would stocks boom from that, right? What do you think about this entire situation? What do you think about this $1 trillion stimulus package, upwards of $2 trillion stimulus package? What do you think people are going to do with it? Do you think they're going to go out there and buy second homes? Do you think they're going to pay down debt? Do you think they're going to expand their business? I think a lot of that money is going to go directly back into the hands of the big banks, and I think it's going to go directly back in the hands of Amazon and a lot of these big companies. I think we're walking into a world of change, and I think everybody needs to get ready for it. If you have credit card debt, now is the best time to pay it off, to do whatever you got to do to pay off that debt. There's a lot of 0% APR balance transfer offers right now. You want to take advantage of every opportunity you can to get out of debt, because as Jerome Powell keeps hiking interest rate, he's basically turning people into debt slaves. Because when you have 10 grand in credit card debt at 15%, and you're like, you know what, 10 grand, paying back 4 grand, that's one thing, right? But if he hikes rates and they go to, let's say, 29%, $25,000 in just interest over a decade, almost 12 years to pay that off just by what the Fed's doing in the background. Get ready for it. Something really, really big is happening. Drop below, let's talk about this. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself what I believe is going to be the greatest wealth transfer in American history, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free call for Monday, and I'll catch you next video.